A solid book on relationships, particularly on how to keep romance and desire alive, is a book called Mating in Captivity by a lady called Esther Perel. What makes Esther Perel a fascinating case is she's a psychotherapist and relationship couples counselor. She's from Belgium and she speaks like 4 or 5 languages or something that she's fluent in. So not only does she do psychotherapy in general, she does it in all of the languages that she speaks fluently in all the countries where people seek out therapy. So she's amassed this fascinating accumulation of relationship and therapeutic data uh, globally, but cross-culturally and many different languages. So her take on relationships is very fascinating because she's got all of these different perspectives of how relationships typically break down in the realm, generally speaking, of desire and romance. And in particular, the book it's mostly aimed at the West, right? It's aimed at the United States, like the biggest market in the world. So it is tailored mostly to help Americans and Westerners alike. And one of the ways that she points that out is many of the dating customs and relationship customs in American and Western culture, they're very different to many different parts of the world. For example, the notion that all of your needs need to be met by your romantic partner. So them being your confidant, them being your best friend, being your romantic lover, them being there for every facet of support that you need, and expecting to get all of those needs met with them, but ultimately falling short naturally because not one person can do that. And there's a notion in the West in particular about having your lover also be your best friend. And she points out that that is only a Western phenomenon. That's not common in places like many countries in Europe, for example. So it's interesting, like her experience and her perspectives in the book, that if you are a Westerner, which I assume you are, like listening to this, you can take this and actually help to relieve a bit of pressure and expectation on yourself, your partner, or your own relationship. So that book was really eye-opening to me in that regard. A big part of how she helps people to achieve the sustain the romance and the attraction and desire in a relationship is, like I said, not expecting them to meet all of their needs, but helping to instill a sense of mystery into a relationship, right? So basically not divulging every little thing about your own personal, intimate world with your partner. Like, it's okay to have your own personal inner world, not in a shady way, but just in like an integral way. Basically, the point in this regard she stresses is basically people who are the least codependent, the least needy, basically they've got their own life, they've got their own friends, they've got their own hobbies, they appreciate their own time. They're basically an attractive, autonomous person that chooses a partner out of wanted desire and less so out of kind of codependency and neediness. Which is, it's kind of common sense, but she uses many tangible examples in this regard of helping to build more of a sense of like independence, agency, and stressing on how you can from an individual standpoint increase, retain and increase your partner's desire by individually living your life in a way which helps that to manifest, if that makes sense. There's a bunch of interesting things that she talks about in the book. A lot of interesting, sort of abstract, kind of controversial points that she brings up, which I haven't really heard before, which can sound a little bit cold and confronting, but they're interesting thought exercises. She brings up the idea of if there's been infidelity in the relationship, that she makes a point that she doesn't say that you should, tell or you shouldn't tell. She talks about the reasons, like your motivations of why you want to do one of the other. So if it's a case of there's been infidelity and a person wants to tell their partner, she asked the question of, are you wanting to tell your partner because that's something that you want to do for them? Or is it something that you're actually wanting to do with yourself? Like, are you just trying to absolve yourself of guilt and trying to clear your conscience? And if that's the case, is it worth the potential damage that you're going to do by telling this person? And then she flips that as well. Like, if you're going to not tell this and move on, what are the consequences of that? So, not for that to sound dark. It was just interesting to hear it from that perspective. And she poses many different perspectives like this throughout the book, as mentioned before, because she has just a myriad of experience in couples counseling, but cross-culturally and globally, which makes this a very fascinating read. So if you resonate with any of that, you kind of experience challenges, which a lot of people do, with maintaining desire in a relationship in particular, but just navigating like the natural, domesticated, in some ways kind of unnatural way that we partner now and cohabitate, and then having to balance daily life in the current system we live in. If you experience those challenges, this will be a really good read. So it's called Mating in Captivity by Esther Perel.